Hey there, Gaming Outsiders, Scott here. This week, Zack and I welcome Alyssa White, one of our writers, to discuss why it is that some fanboys feel it necessary to be so hostile when it comes to their favorite consoles. In news, Game Pass has a new AAA title coming on day one. We got some more information about the Resident Evil animated series coming to Netflix, and a new TMNT game that looks like what we've been asking for years. New games discussed include the adorable Space Otter Charlie, which I checked out. Kevin stops by to talk about the demo for Sannabi, the Revenant, and Thomas raves about a choose-your-own-adventure game called The Life and Suffering of Sir Brante. Spoiler alert, he compares it to Game of Thrones. I'm sold. This is the Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to episode 337 of the Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community. It's Monday, March 15th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me are my friends, Mr. Zack Parkerson. How's it going, man?
Snyder Week, baby.
I know. I was actually talking to somebody about that earlier today, and I am actually a little bit more excited to see that Snyder Cut on Thursday after hearing some things.
I mean, I've been waiting. It feels like my whole life's been building to this moment.
Yes. For those not familiar with what we're talking about, the Snyder Cut of Justice League releases this Thursday, the 18th. Is that the right date?
Correct. Yes.
On HBO Max. This is not a sponsor of the show or anything, but Zack will be predisposed that day. Let's just say it's 4 hours. Yeah. 4 hours.
4 hours and 1 minute, I think, like 28 seconds or something.
It's kind of crazy. I think it's split up into 6 parts, which is helpful. I can kind of watch it.
There are
like
six chapters, so you can pause to use the bathroom. Yeah. I will. My phone will be off that day.
I imagine.
So I hope nothing terrible happens to the site.
I imagine. Well, if you haven't been able to tell so far, CB will not be joining us. Unfortunately, he had to be out, saving lives or whatever again. So he could not join us. However, we do have a very special guest joining us. One of my favorite people in the entire world.
Aww.
She is a writer for the Gaming Outsider. She loves her story-driven narrative games. It gives me great pleasure to welcome to the Gaming Outsider, after a long time, Miss Alyssa White. Alyssa, how are you doing?
Yay! I'm good. How are you doing, Scott?
I'm doing great. I seriously have been looking forward to having you on here. I'm sorry it's been so long since we've had you on as a guest again. I don't know why we don't do it more often.
It's okay. You got brownie points by saying I'm one of your favorite people, so it's cool.
Well, we were talking before the show about Zack doing a lot of the, he edits your written work, and we love editing your work, Alyssa. You are a fantastic writer.
Thank you.
I'm just going to go ahead and say that.
Pretty easy edits.
Yes.
I think
takes us all about 20 minutes to publish one of Alyssa's reviews, so that's
right. Yes, it is.
Awesome. Well, Alyssa,
appreciated.
Since you are our guest, why don't you tell us about what games you've been playing this week or catching up on?
I've been playing Persona 5 Strikers, which I'm only a few hours in, so I'm pretty much still in the tutorial section, but I am loving it. I love Persona 5.
You got to tell me about it, because I've only played a little bit of Persona 5. It's one of those games that I enjoyed the hour or two I played of it, but it's the number of hours it takes to complete that game is very scary to me, so I kind of just dip my toe in it, and that's about it. But that was a turn-based JRPG with a really interesting story. What is Strikers?
Persona 5 Strikers is co-developed with the team that creates the Dynasty Warriors game, so you're getting the Persona 5 story and visuals, but with the Dynasty Warriors action combat. So it's not turn-based.
Oh, okay. So pure action, but it's the same characters. Is it the same story?
Characters.
Or
it does continue the story from the main game, so I would recommend playing the main game first, just because
just
you might not know
$100.
who the characters are, what happened previously.
Isn't that nuts that these publishers trust Omega Force with canon stories?
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like they get to tell part of the Zelda canon in their Muso. It's insane to me.
I think they did Fire Emblem as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they did do a Fire Emblem one. You're right, but like this Persona one's crazy because I'm sure people have been dying to see more of these characters. And you get your sequel.
I mean, I have been, and they've done such a good job so far. Just from the few hours I've played, it just feels like it picks right up from where the base game left off, and I mean, I'm just so absorbed in the world again. The visuals are beautiful. I am loving just being with the characters again, hearing them talk when they do talk. The cutscenes are so cinematic and beautiful.
Are they the same voice actors?
Crazy. I believe it is the same voice actors, yeah.
So that carries over, but it's a completely different developer. Am I understanding you guys saying that correctly?
Correct.
Yes, correct.
That's just very nuts to me. So they step away from the turn-based JRPG, and it's just pure like action melee, but you're still digging it.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Will this take as long to get through as Persona 5 base, or?
I've heard it's about half the length, so it's still pretty long, but it's not as long.
That's a long time to be smashing X.
Right? That's what I was thinking.
Well, you actually don't smash X in this game, funnily enough. It's just square and triangle.
Okay.
And circle occasionally.
I remember I bought one of these they did a Berserk one of these. And I couldn't play more than about an hour of it before I checked out.
Yeah, this one they really break the action up with cutscenes and dialogue, so you don't feel like you're just constantly mowing through enemies. You get a nice break in between.
That's good. How's the music?
Excellent.
Yeah.
What you expect from a Persona soundtrack, you get with this.
One day I have to play the collector's edition Persona 5 that I bought.
I have that collector's edition.
Can you answer a question for me, because I am completely ignorant of this series? What is Persona 5 Royals? Royals?
It adds... I haven't played this version, but I believe it adds some story content, I think an extra school activity, and there is a new character, but this character is not in Persona 5 Strikers, so you don't need to have played Royal to enjoy Strikers.
So it's just like a new version of the base game?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That makes me feel a little better.
They did this with Persona 3 got FES re-release, and Persona 4 got Golden.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same kind of formula as those.
Interesting. All right. Well, Persona 5 Strikers. I'll have to look that one up in 5 years when I get around to playing Persona 5. I'm not knocking the game. I genuinely was digging it. I'm just so scared of the commitment with that game, and
there's no better time than right now in terms of releases, actually.
Right, because there's nothing else coming out.
Yeah, so you could knock out 100 hours.
You know, here's the thing. If I were going to play that, I would probably want to play it on the Switch. Is that a Switch? Is it on Switch, or is it exclusive to PS4?
I believe it's PlayStation 4 exclusive.
Oh, we'd have to get a Vita then. That just seems like a game that would be great to pick up and play when I can. I don't know. Anyway.
Now, Alyssa, have you played all the Personas? I've
played Persona 4 Golden and Persona 5, so I did not get to play the first 3.
Damn it. Persona... I think I've met anybody who's played Persona 3, but that's my favorite
I've always wanted to, I just never got my hands on it.
It's so dark. Scott, you might appreciate that.
Yeah. I know it had controversy around it because of one of the mechanics.
Yeah, yes, to attack in the game, you have to shoot yourself in the head.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's something you're doing all the time, so you can imagine how dark the story gets.
Yeah, that kind of piques my interest a little bit.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I know you.
Well, Zach, what have you been catching up on this week?
Well, the opposite of darkness. I finally got every star and every stamp in Bowser's Fury and Super Mario 3D World. So I'm done. I have washed my hands of Mario.
Does it feel good?
Out with my life. It felt incredible. That last level was a tricky son of a gun.
Yeah.
But it's that's
the thing I love about Mario games is like the first few levels, actually the most of the main game is not very difficult. But then they'll just throw stuff in there that requires some insane skill. Odyssey 2, not Odyssey 2, but Galaxy 2.
Yes.
Comes to mind. There were some that was not an easy game to get 120 stars, let me tell you.
No.
I have the worst Mario player. I can't get past the opening levels of any Mario game.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
I'm not good at platformers. Not good.
Hey, you just stick to your story-driven games there, Alyssa.
Yeah.
It's all good.
That's why I just kind of do my thing.
That's all good. Hey, we're glad you enjoy those, because I know nothing about that genre. So how do you feel about Bowser's Fury now that it's all wrapped up?
I do. I think that needs to be the base of the next Mario game.
Yeah?
You're right. It is. It's long enough, right, to feel like a full game. It feels like a whole game. Like if you paid $40 for that, it would probably feel good. Mm-hmm. But it's you'd want more.
Mm-hmm.
When I beat 3D World, I'm good. I don't need any more 3D World.
Do you think the reason you want more Bowser's Fury is because it was so short?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think there's still room to experiment there.
Mm-hmm.
Add more power-ups to the equation. Just that open world thing with open world of Mario. Who knew?
And it worked. They figured out a formula to make it work, and that needs to be the base from here on out.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, for sure. Then I finally, if you remember, months ago, I started playing Lego DC Supervillains, and then I had to review a bunch of games. But now I'm I got this Justice League blood thrown through my veins with excitement.
So you played a Lego game.
I did. It was great.
I have a question. Did you meet Mirror Master in Lego DC Supervillains yet, or did you not get to him?
Yeah. Well, he's part of the story.
Okay, I haven't played the game, but I know he's voiced by Sam Heughan, and I love Sam Hewitt.
Who? Oh no! Tell me, who is Sam Hewitt?
He is Jamie Fraser in Outlander. And
okay.
Yeah, he gives my fiance some competition.
I was gonna say, yeah, he's a hunk. Then the voice cast. The voice cast is insane. John Barrowman is he reprises the role of Merlin from Arrow.
I love John Barrowman too.
Yeah, it's this Michael Ironside is Darkseid.
Ooh.
Who I love.
In a Lego game.
I gotta play this now.
Yes, in a Lego, not only in a Lego game, Scott, but Michael Ironside was Darkseid back when they did the cartoon shows. But he hadn't voiced him in 12 years. He came back for Lego DC.
Wow,
isn't that wild? Anyway, that
is he gonna do Sam
tremendous.
Fisher, or is that that's Sam Fisher, right?
Yeah. There's no need to hurt me like that.
Sorry.
Wound cuts deep,
right?
You would think he would be Sam Fisher. And then a friend gifted me Star Renegades. I assume after my whining last week that I really wanted to play Star Renegades.
Yeah.
So I just started that. It's a turn-based delight.
I've heard.
I'm only an hour or two in, but it's got it starts with like an animated intro that really sets the scene, and I don't know, it's just like a cool sci-fi universe, man. I want to see more of it already.
It's good to hear, man.
Great. The combat system does one of those timeline things where you can like rearrange the battlefield by attacking certain enemies, basically.
Right, like Octopath, right? Octopath Traveler.
I would not know. I will assume that yes.
I believe that was a comparison Kevin made when he originally reviewed it for us. And if you like that, then we need to get your hands on Octopath. Oh, that's right. You were turned off by that game because the stories didn't converge like you wanted them to, or something.
Well, yeah, it seemed weird.
Yeah,
the structure seemed bizarre. But I'll play Star Renegades.
All right.
I'll have more to report next week.
All right, sounds good. I've been playing some more Loop Hero, which I feel like I just did a terrible job selling that game last week, but man, that game is good. I really want to sit next to you and show you how to play that game, Zach, because I really think it's something special. I mean, it's not a very super story driven, so maybe you wouldn't like it, but go back and listen to last week's episode to hear me just rave about Loop Hero.
For a while, too, as I recall.
I know. I couldn't stop talking. I also picked up, it's the first time I've played it, but it's an older game. I assume it's an older game. Little iOS game called Rogue Jack that a friend recommended to me, and it's free. So I'm like, oh, sure, I'll try it. It's a dungeon crawler where when you fight the enemies, instead of any kind of attacks, you play blackjack. And if you win the hand of blackjack, you attack them. If they win the hand of blackjack, they attack you. And hit points, and you stumble across weapons, and
I'm downloading this right now.
It's great, man. It's a fun little time waster.
That sounds well. I've been looking for a time waster. Because I downloaded Threes finally, and I'm awful at Threes.
So am I. I am terrible at those kind of games, but this one's fun. You actually level up. And as you level up, you turn into different types of characters. It's very sprite-based. There's no animation at all. It's just seriously still sprites that you move around on a grid. You work your way as far as you can. It's got when you die, if you can make it back to the level where you died, you can get all your experience and gold back. So it's got that, like, would you call that a Dark Souls mechanic? I don't know. I don't know. I'm really enjoying it. But as you unlock these new characters, they give you different abilities, so you can like see some of the blackjack cards before, and then choose one instead, or you get a 10% chance of the cards being face up instead of face down. So it's really clever. It's a I'm not going to say cute little game but it's just a fun little time waster. So I highly recommend Rogue Jack. I think it's also on Android. I'm not 100% positive because the person who recommended it to me is on iOS, and I know you are as well, Zach. So,
right.
Alyssa, are you iOS? I
am.
Okay, so we can't confirm right now that it's on Android, but it's a great little game. Also, apparently I'm on a PC kick because I made a deal with Kevin, one of our writers.
Yeah. Okay, so side note, what happened to you? Who are you?
Well, dude, when somebody recommends a game to me, it's really hard for me not to play it. And Kevin reviewed Skull the Hero Slayer for us and raved about it. He liked it so much, he said, Scott, you got to play this game. I will loan you my laptop.
Wow.
So you can play this game. And I was like, dude, it's on Mac. I can pick it up. And I said, tell you what, I'll make you a deal. You pick up Loop Hero, and I'll pick up Skull, and we'll play. And he's like, deal, done. And he likes Loop Hero, so score. And anyway, so I started to play Skull, which it's a platformer, so you have to have a controller, right? I don't know what the deal is. I cannot get a controller to work on this game. And I'm PC, Mac dumb when it comes to gaming. I can get the thing to register on the main screen, like on the title screen, and then it just stops working after that. And that game cannot be played with a keyboard. So I did some Google searching, and I'm not alone. This is apparently a known error with this game, so I'm going to try to contact the developer this week and see what I'm doing wrong. I tried an 8-bit DOE controller. I tried an Xbox controller. I cannot get a controller to work for this game. I don't know if it's because I'm on a Mac, but I tell you, I was really angry and almost gave up PC gaming in general because I was sitting there swearing at my laptop going, this is why people don't like the PC game. I can plug in my game on my Xbox and I know it's just going to work. I don't have to mess with settings and map my controller and all that. I just want to play the game, and I couldn't play the game. So I will get back to it. But the only other game I've been catching up on is I restarted for our Patreon episodes. I restarted Spec Ops: The Line this week.
Oh, that's a good game.
Yeah, it's nice and short too. It's only like 5-6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already 4 chapters in of like 12, I think. So, that game holds up surprisingly well, but it definitely does feel like a Xbox 360, PS3. It shows its age, but it's still fun to play.
Right. I mean, I do miss when games were that length, though.
I do too.
Oh, me too.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the week's news. Things are a little light this week, but we got some trailers that were announced this week. First off, Century Age of Ashes, which releases in April. Enlisted Invasion of Normandy, which is a PS5 exclusive. Clan O'Connell on PC and Mac, which releases on April 28th. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is coming to Steam and consoles. We don't quite know when yet. On top of that, we also got our first look at the Resident Evil Infinite Darkness series from Netflix. Lots of interesting things happening there. And also, it was announced today, as of this recording, that Outriders is officially coming to Xbox Game Pass on day one. Alyssa, as our guest, you get to kick things off. What story is most interesting to you here?
It's definitely got to be Resident Evil Infinite Darkness coming to Netflix, because I loved Resident Evil 2 Remake, and I'm really excited that they're bringing back the voice actors for Leon and Claire for the Netflix series.
Mm-hmm.
And just the trailer looks great. I love the Resident Evil animated films, so just to see a show on Netflix, I think it's got potential to be really good.
It looks surprisingly crisp and sharp.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like some of the old... What was that other Resident Evil animated series, Zack, or either of you, really? There was... It was like 2 words, like Deadfall or something like that.
I don't know, man. They've had a few animated movies.
Yeah, it was an animated movie.
I've seen the animated movies. I
thought they were all pretty solid.
A series.
No, I'm not saying they're bad. They felt more like hand-drawn animation. The one I saw looked like hand-drawn. This looks like legit CGI.
I don't know what the hell you watched.
No?
I don't know.
Maybe I'm making it up.
I just know the movies.
Yeah, maybe you watched a Newgrounds Flash video.
Maybe. I don't know.
It was legit.
I'm not a big fan of the movies, like the Mia Jovovich ones. Like the first.
No, those are garbage.
Like I tried really hard to like the first one, and I just didn't get it. And then they just got progressively more and more ridiculous. So
I do like them, but I know they're not really. They don't really mesh with the games that well. They're just fun action movies for me, so I don't really connect them to the games that much. But I can see why you don't like the Resident Evil films with Mila Jovovich. But the animated movies are really good, though.
Yeah, really good.
Oh, like I said, I wasn't knocking it. The one I watched it was really interesting. I just remember it not looking as good as this trailer looks. But again,
it does look incredible. Yeah,
it could just be a time thing.
It's got that Netflix budget.
Yeah, exactly. And the story's canon. It's produced by Capcom, so it's legit. Takes place 2 years after the events of Resident Evil 4, which I know, Zach, you love that game, don't you? Isn't that?
Well, yeah, it's one of the best.
Man, I like 2 a lot, but 4 was really, really good too. I wish they would just fix that control scheme. Like, give us a remake of 4.
The remake's coming.
Oh man, I want that one. What about you, Zach? What anything interesting here?
I mean, that show sounds awesome. You missed the part where Stephanie Panicello is coming back as Claire Redfield.
I didn't miss it. Alyssa mentioned it.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I didn't say their names. I just said Leon and Claire's voice actors are going back. But yeah, it's Stephanie Panicello and Nick. I don't want to butcher his last name. Yeah,
I don't got Apostolides. Regardless, you know how I felt about her in Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Yeah, you said she swears better than anybody else, if I remember correctly.
She's a good swearer.
Yeah.
She knows how to put a cuss word together.
That sounds like a major skill.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not alone, because there are YouTube montages of Claire swearing in that game. So I
didn't know this was a thing.
Oh yeah,
she swears well.
She does swear well, very well.
So I'm excited that she's. I'm surprised they're going with her, because if you remember, these two were only cast because of the voice actor strike that was going on when they were making Resident Evil 2.
Oh, I didn't remember that.
So I'm surprised that they brought them back, which is cool.
Good for them.
These people only got a shot because the guild wasn't taking jobs at the time.
Right. Huh. That is good.
So we're out. Otherwise, I mean, Outriders is freaking awesome. So I'm happy people are actually going to play it, because there was no way that game was ever going to succeed otherwise.
You think so, huh?
No way.
Do you think because the demo just sold it as being rough, or do you think that people are just tired of the Destiny loop?
I think I'm hearing from people that they're happy about the demo.
Really?
Other podcasts and stuff. Because I don't think I would not have tried that game if it were not for the demo.
Okay, I'm just hearing opposite from in our Discord community.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm only talking about other game podcasts.
Right.
I thought I made a very great impression as we talked about on the show.
It did for me. I was planning on buying it, so
it's got.
I didn't play the demo, but I did hear it's Destiny meets Gears of War meets Mass Effect. If you say anything meets Mass Effect for me, I'm like, okay, I'm sold. I love Mass Effect.
There's a little Mass Effect in there for sure. But unlike Destiny and all of them, this game is not supposed to go on forever.
Oh, really? It's supposed to have a finale or final?
It's not a live service game.
Oh, okay. That actually piques my interest even more.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think we're all just about done with live service games.
Well, I mean, can you think of the last 3-player co-op game that just ended? I mean, Gears is probably the last that was 4-player, but I don't know. It feels like if there's a co-op game, it's just a games as a service thing from here on out.
Yeah, and I think I would hope publishers are finally learning that they cannot all be supported.
Right.
If you can't make Avengers work in this market, I don't know what you are going to make work.
I feel like that should have just been a single-player game.
Well, yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Speaking of Game Pass, I think we should mention also, because you talked about it on the review of one of your games last week, Zach, but Undertale is now available on Game Pass as well. So
great game.
I may have to give that one a second shot. I tried it on Switch, and I just didn't get it.
I need to play that one.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I think you would like it a lot, Alyssa. Based on the way you write in your reviews, I feel like you would like Undertale.
I feel like it's one I'd like. I never picked it up for some reason.
Same boat.
Great story. And Scott, you'll love it because it's going to have an easy 1,000 achievements.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because the developer, Toby Fox, hates achievements.
Oh.
So he was forced to put it when it came to PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to go to a store and use a made-up currency that's only used in that store, and they just give it all to you to unlock all of the achievements.
Oh. Nice.
Or most of them, anyway, because he thinks they're really lame.
Ah.
He's wrong.
Yeah, I think achievements are great.
Trophies are awesome, but it was definitely one of the easiest platinums I've ever gotten.
Even easier than Avatar?
Well, that wasn't on PlayStation.
It wasn't on PlayStation?
I don't think so. I think that was that dark year before PS3 came out.
Ah, gotcha.
When Xbox was just pulling out ahead.
Literally 45 seconds to get all 1,000 achievements in that game.
Well, it's just like a 100-hit combo, right? And you get all of them.
Something like that, and it's not even hard to do. You just stand in one place and spam the button for 45 seconds, and it's done. I rented the game just to get the achievements. Thank God they had like a Game Pass. Back before Game Pass was what it is now, it was like Blockbuster, where you rent a game and then you go.
Oh yeah,
you go swap it out and then bring it back. I used to use that often during achievement hunting days. That was well utilized. They were pretty sick of me. I worked at Blockbuster, so it wasn't that bad. But I can't believe I'm the first one to mention this, but there's a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game coming.
I don't care, man.
You don't care.
I don't really either.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
I like the Heroes in a Half Shell just fine, but I didn't really. I remember chomping at the bit for them to re-release the arcade game, and they did release on 360. I played it for like 30 minutes. I was like, "What, man? This game's not as good as I remember."
Oh, it's not. But I played through it multiple times trying to get. I had a blast with it. That game is harder than I remember.
I'm happy for you.
Well, here's the thing, man. They've been trying to make a Ninja Turtles game for a while. If you remember, I can't remember. They had been before you joined the crew over here, but we reviewed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Something about Manhattan.
Mutants in Manhattan by Platinum Games.
Which was awful.
How dare you say
that game?
That about a Platinum game? That
game was, dude. I'm sorry. That was not a fun. That is not what I wanted in a Ninja Turtles game, at all. At all. It was. We joked about it for multiple episodes about how much that game was not for me.
Yes, right. Yeah, because there are no bad games.
Right. So when I saw this trailer, and I don't know if you watched the trailer for this game.
I watched it.
But they made it look, even the intro, which is very similar to the intro for the original cartoon series, it looks very similar to the original game. Like the Technodrome is in there, and I had very nostalgic feelings watching. This looks like the Ninja Turtles sequel that we have been asking for years. And I can't.
I can see that. And you know what? I mean, it didn't look bad. It's just I know me and Brawlers at this point. I would pay money for it. I would play it for 20 minutes, and I would be kicking myself that I paid money for it.
I get you.
That's how I am. I like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but just the brawler type of gameplay, it's not for me.
Would you want a game like this, Zach, where instead of buying the game and playing as much as you want, you can pay a quarter at a time for a credit? Would you want that?
I think I would.
So you could play like $1.50 and...
I think I would get out cheaper.
You think so?
Yeah, because I would die on the first boss or whatever. Like, all right, I'm good. I'll go on to something else.
I'm done.
Yeah,
you have like 16 quartered size transactions.
You remember Xbox did this? They did this exact concept.
Did they? I don't remember that.
On 360, remember that you like walked around your avatars and you go up to arcade machines.
I don't remember that.
Time. There's a whole man. I don't remember what it was called now.
Was it the Xbox version of PlayStation Home?
It wasn't.
It wasn't Xbox Live Arcade, was it?
Well, no, that was just a branding.
Yeah.
Oh man, because I remember you could pay tokens, or you could get the actual game like Outlaw and stuff. I don't remember the name of it.
Outlaw, like the Atari game?
Yes.
Oh man, that brings me back. Outlaw.
Man, I don't remember it now. But
anyway, I'm very excited for that. I assume it has to be online. It's got to be online, right? 4-player online co-op. If you can do the original arcade game online co-op with friends, you have to be able to do the new one online with friends.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I would think so, since everyone wants to be one of the Ninja Turtles, so
I got dibs on Leo.
Leo's the best.
Thank you. You are the only person that has ever agreed with me, man.
Really?
Yes. Everybody always says Raphael.
I like Donatello.
Donatello because he's got the reach. I'll give you Donatello because of the reach. But katana blades are just so much more cooler than a bow staff. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, definitely. It's certainly more lethal.
That's true.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. All right. That's the news for the week. Like I said, it's a little short. We are going to go ahead and move on with some quick housekeeping. I just want to remind everybody that we are an independently funded podcast, and we would ask you for some help and support on our Patreon page. We've got several different levels to match your budget, many of which offer some extra rewards, including extra bonus episodes. As we mentioned, we've got our Break the Seal episode for Star Tropics. I sat down with Nate and talked about that game. CB is cooking up an episode right now on video game peripherals. And let me tell you, if you've ever been to CB's house, you know that he's got some crazy peripherals that you probably have never seen before. And you're gonna want to hear us talk about those. Spencer also recorded an episode with a couple of our listeners where they just do some trivia games and drink some beer. And we're also playing through. We're going to do a legacy episode on Spec Ops: The Line, which is why I'm playing it currently. So stay tuned for that. We're going to take a deep dive into that game. But if any of that stuff sounds interesting to you, or you'd like to get access to our back catalog of bonus episodes, head over to patreon.com/thegocast. We would really appreciate the help, and it helps us give back to the community. What we do is we purchase games to review, and then we turn around and give them away to the community as a way to say thank you with a giveaway. Let's go ahead now and jump into the games we've actually been playing. Zach, I know you alluded to a little while ago that we're in a bit of a dry spell. Is that continuing on this week, I assume?
Pretty much, unless you're way into baseball, I guess. Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning gets re-released on the Nintendo Switch March 16th.
Re-released?
Re-released. Yeah. Munduan comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Switch, and PC March 16th. That is a really weird-looking horror game.
I need to check that out. That sounds like me.
Looks like it's like a black and white. It looks like it's got like film grain over it while you're playing. It's kind of cool looking.
All right.
And then the baseball game I was talking about, RBI Baseball 21, comes to PS4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Switch, PC, iOS, and Android March 16th. Samurai Shodown gets a Series X and S port on March 16th. A couple of dungeon crawlers where you don't get to play blackjack, unfortunately. Saviors of Sapphire Wings and Stranger of Sword City Revisited, coming to Switch and PC March 16th. That's a big title.
Is that 2 games built into one cart, or?
Right, yeah. In the trailer, they're like, buy Saviors of Sapphire Wings, you get Stranger of Sword City with it, but then the official listing says both, and then Revisited, so I don't know.
By the way, both of those games, even on their own, are difficult to say. Neither roll off the tongue well at all.
No. Savior of Sapphire Wings sounds kind of cool. Mm-hmm. I'm intrigued by whatever that is, but then it's a first-person dungeon crawler, so I'm out. Stubbs Zombie and Rebel Without a Pulse gets a second life.
I do want to check that one out, because I never got to play the original.
I remember a lot of Halo staff was involved in Stubbs Zombie that had left Bungie. That's going to PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC March 16th, courtesy of Aspire Media, who is just knocking out these re-releases, or these ports rather, because they're really not touched up at all of classic games, because they're doing Republic Commando next month as well. Mm-hmm. And then Avengers, if somebody cares, it's coming to PS5 and Series X and S on March 18th. That's also the day where the new Hawkeye DLC comes out.
Now, if you have it already on the previous platform, do you get the upgrade for free, or
you do get the upgrade for free? Yes.
Right. Woohoo!
Could you imagine if they really had the audacity
$60 more
to charge for more Avengers? It'd be unreal. It's a free upgrade. Yeah, that's Hawkeye, the second character. Remember, the first one they added was Hawkeye.
You're not bitter or anything.
I don't know what they're doing over there. I'll play the story. Don't get me wrong, but it's definitely what are you doing? Anyway, Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville Complete Edition coming to the Switch March 19th. And then Root Film is coming to PS4 and Switch March 19th. That's a visual novel, I assume, from the people who brought us Root Letter. I feel like that would make a lot of sense.
Alyssa, didn't you review that for us?
I reviewed Root. Why can't I not remember the name now? It was one of the games in that series, but they have different names. There's Root Letter, Root Number.
Oh, okay. So it is.
I was interested by Root Film. So, yeah, it's a whole series.
Okay. Like 999.
Yes.
I'm going to be honest here, Zach. Nothing on here interests me in the slightest. Maybe Stubbs the Zombie, just because I've never played the series and I want to see what it's about, but I think even that's a stretch for me.
Yeah, if Aspire gave me Stubbs the Zombie, I would play it.
Right.
But otherwise, I don't. I do really want to play Kingdoms of Amalur again, but when it came out on PS4 and stuff, I was like, who has the time? And now I do have the time, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a game I want to revisit too, but at the same time, I'm like, that's so many hours.
It is, and it's kind of weird because it's like the foundations of the universe, right? So I'm like, why do I want to get so invested in something that I know is dead?
Well, maybe they can bring it back to life if enough people buy it.
They are.
On Switch and
do a new DLC next year for it, which is crazy.
That is crazy that there's new DLC for a game that old, but what are you gonna do?
But yeah, no, nothing, I guess. Hopefully you can bring us some light, Scott. We're talking about Space Otter Charlie.
Oh, I definitely can.
Yeah?
I definitely can.
We just talked about it a little bit. It sounds like it makes you real happy.
It does. I don't know if you I know you read my review because you edited it. You know how you talked about Mario 3D World and how it was just a delight to not have like a super difficult time getting all the collectibles even in a world?
It was, for the first 200 stars anyway, yeah.
Well, right. But yeah, that is how I feel about Space Otter Charlie. It is not a difficult game. It's not a pushover game by any means, but it's not going to take a ton of skill. It's not going to take a ton of dexterity, but it still feels rewarding. It's easy to find all the collectibles. It was just it was exactly the game I needed at the exact right point in my life. It made me smile. It made me feel good. It didn't stress me out, and I love it. Did you get a chance to watch the trailer?
Yeah, no, it looked adorable. I'll tell you that.
I've not watched the trailer, but if there is a space otter named Charlie in it,
there is.
I will.
You are an otter that flies around in space with the spacesuit and one of those, astronaut.
My God.
It is adorable. So the story is.
I love that there's a premise to this.
There is a premise to this. It cracks me up. The premise is that humanity has left Earth because of global warming. And so these otters are like lounging around and, hey, we got the whole planet to ourselves. And then it starts to get hot and they're like, you know what? We got to do something too. So these otters build a spaceship and after 3 attempts, make it off the planet.
Oh my gosh, it sounds so cute.
That is actually the story of this game. And so they have to find a new planet just like the humans did. And that's what you're doing is you're going from place to place to place, trying to collect energy, trying to collect parts that you need to be able to get to where you need to go and eventually find a new home on a new planet. That's actually the story of this game. And it's even cuter than it sounds, Zach.
It sounds cute.
It is, and it sounds like it's too cute. Like it's going to be just, like saccharine, whatever word you want to use to describe it. It did nothing but put a smile on my face. I thoroughly enjoyed this game. Gameplay. It is a Metroidvania Light. Or, I'm sorry. I think I actually said this in my review. It is a gear-gated 2D adventure. Yeah,
that's right.
That is the new phrase that we're going to refer to these as, according to Zack Parkerson.
Gaming outsiderism.
Yes. It's very simple. It's 2D. You're going through each. It's like a Metroid. It's like a gear-gated 2D adventure where it's not all one giant world. It's like each individual. Like each planet has its own thing that you just traverse through, get all the collectibles, go out, and then go to the next one.
That sounds cool, man.
Which is kind of nice. It's
like you're saying it's not very weighty. It's
right.
Like watching Friends.
Yeah,
that's what it sounds like.
It feels like wrapping yourself up in a comfortable blanket, even though it's a new game. It still feels familiar enough. I just seriously love this game so much, and I finished it in 4 or 5 hours, maybe 6 hours. I can't imagine it took me 6 hours. Just delightful, just a delightful game, and it keeps adding new mechanics. Some of the bosses, dare I say, have a little bit of a Zelda boss flavor to it. Like you get a weapon in the level that you have to use in a special way to beat the boss. I see you smirking right now, Zach, and you're getting a little excited. I don't want to oversell it because it's not nearly as intricate. It's like the first 2 levels, and then that just kind of goes away. Like the bosses are still there, but they never get quite as good as those first couple, where you're like doing this Zelda-ish thing to kind of beat it. But I got real excited at the beginning when that happened. I was like, all right, this is what these bosses are going to be like. But I don't know.
For a $15 game, I'm getting pretty darn sold.
Oh man, it's and there's a progression. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a skill tree, but you there's a shop where you collect these pieces of energy along the way, or different parts, and you just start getting upgrades to weapons, and they're not like necessary, but they make things a lot easier, and they just feel good. Like for a game that looks as charming and sweet as this game is, it plays really well. It kind of looks like, and I don't mean this to sound in a negative way, but it looks like those educational games we played like in the late 90s, early 2000s. Like heavily animated, very bright, vibrant colors, nothing dark or anything going on at all. They kind of look like that, but it controls like a solid gear-gated 2D adventure game. Highly recommend it. Space Otter Charlie. I played it on Xbox, but it's also available on other platforms. And
it comes out March 18th.
Yes, the day
Nintendo
this
Switch
episode releases.
All right, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC.
Mm-hmm.
I know Zach won't be playing it on that day.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it's an unfortunate release date for them.
But this comes from publisher Astrophysicists Guild, which has become a new favorite of mine. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Astrophysicists?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Quantum
Astrophysicists Guild?
Quantum Astrophysicists Guild. Thank you. I forgot the first word. They're the ones behind Round Guard that I reviewed last year and fell in love with. So they are 2 for 2 for me at this point in terms of games that just seriously put a smile on my face. They are masters of taking a simplistic gameplay and making it charming and delightful. And
that's sorry, the Round Guard was the pinball roguelike?
No, not pinball. That was you're thinking you're thinking of it was another gear-gated one with pinball.
What
Round Guard was
Round
the
Guard?
Peggle clone.
Oh, okay.
Where it was like a Peggle with RPG mechanics.
Yeah, I want to play that too.
Oh, dude.
If you send me periodic text reminders of these games' existence.
Oh, man.
I want to get them.
I may have to buy you Round Guard just because... Man,
Is that good?
I thought you had Apple Arcade. It's free on Apple Arcade.
I do not have Apple Arcade,
Oh.
but is that the best place to play it?
I didn't play it there. I played it on Xbox, the only place I did play it. But
okay.
I reviewed it for the site. Delightful game. If you like Peggle, it's a no-brainer. They just compound on that, and it's good. But
everybody likes Peg.
I don't know who doesn't like Peggle, but so that's the only game that the new game that the three of us played. However, I did sit down and talk to Kevin and Thomas about a couple games, and I'd like to play those interviews for you right now. I am here once again with my good buddy Kevin Honigford. Kevin, how are you doing, sir?
Great, good buddy, huh?
Yeah, dude, you're our dungeon master in our D&D game. You're the reason that I'm playing D&D right now, and I really appreciate all the hard work you put into that because it is a trip. But you are not here to talk about D&D. You're here to talk about another game that you've been playing. Actually, just the demo, so we're not going to talk too long on it because it is the demo. But you were such a fan of Skull, the Hero Slayer, that you wanted to try out the demo for another game from the publisher, which is NeoWiz. The game is called Sannabi the Revenant. This one comes from developer Wonder Potion. And was it just that you like Skull so much you wanted to play this, or was there something about the trailer that drew you to this one?
It was the trailer as well. A large part was Skull because that is such a great game. But the trailer in this looked fun. It looks very energetic. It looked really fast-paced, which I found out was all true.
Yeah, so tell me what it is. It looks like a 2D platformer, but an interesting way that you traverse the landscape, as it were.
Yeah, it is a 2D platformer. You literally fly around the screen using, like swinging. Using what is a chain link arm that retracts and you can shoot out. So it's a little bit Spider-Man-esque.
I was going to say Bionic Commando. That reminds me of Bionic Commando.
Yeah, that's actually probably more accurate.
Okay.
But you swing through, shooting your arm at walls and ceilings and swinging around. You do run and walk some and climb some, but the mass majority of the getting around is all done by swinging.
It looks a lot more fast-paced than Bionic Commando, though.
Yes, it is very fast-paced. In fact, it's almost too fast-paced, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
Because it is a boatload of fun, but sometimes you're going so fast that you don't have time to react to what comes up on the screen in front of you.
So is it like a Super Meat Boy thing where like if you fail, then it just starts over really quick and you're just doing it over and over and over again to try to master it?
Pretty much. There are no like roguelike aspects to this. It's just it is a storyline game. But yeah, if you die, it starts you over, and you have to figure it out. There is a bit of a roguelike type of aspect, I guess, in the figuring out what comes and how to play through that level. Okay.
That was going to be my next question, actually, because in your review, you talked about how there are some enemies and some combat encounters, but you said, and I'm speaking verbatim here, not quoting your quote, but something to the effect of that your biggest enemy is the landscape itself, or the I can't remember the word you used. It's not so much fighting the enemies; it's fighting what you're going through.
Yes, and it's exactly what it is. Because, like I said, you're going so fast swinging around, and some platforms you aren't able to attach to swing from. Mm-hmm. Some platforms will kill you if you touch them because they're electrocuted. So yeah, that is very much, like I say, you are very much taking on the terrain around you, much more so than any enemies you run into.
All right, so that again is Sannabi, the Revenant. The demo is still available as of this recording. I believe it's going till the 18th. So you know, another probably day or two by the time you hear this recording that you can check it out. It's free on Steam. You're playing it on Steam, correct?
Correct.
And it sounds like you're recommending it, but might be a little too difficult for you, or is it a...
I was going to say, I really hope like the real game has a difficulty setting or something, because it is, I struggled hard with this, but it was a struggle that was fun. All right. So I would recommend it, yes.
Are you going to check it out when the full game releases?
I very much plan on it.
All right. Sounds good. Kevin, thank you so much for stopping by to talk to us about this game. I look forward to hearing you talk about it more in the future.
All right. Thank you again for the opportunity.
I'm here once again with our point-and-click aficionado, Mr. Thomas Bex. How you doing, sir?
A very good evening, Mr. Clark.
Hey, good to see you, man. I feel like I haven't talked to you in a few weeks on the show anyway. I mean, we text like 12-year-old girls pretty much every single day. But
That is true. Especially your GIF replies are...
Yeah, you like the GIFs, huh?
I love the GIFs.
Well, I'm actually really excited to talk about this game you've been playing. The game is called The Life and Death of Sir Brante.
It is called The Life and Suffering of Sir Brante.
Is it really?
Yes.
And how did I get that wrong?
Death is part of his suffering.
Okay, well, Shut my mouth. I am so sorry to developer Sever and the publisher 101 XP for writing the name of the game down. The Life and Suffering of Sir Brante. My apologies. Even though I got the name wrong, I genuinely am excited to hear you talk about it, because this is one that was off of my radar completely. You actually came to me and said, "Hey, Scott, I want to play this game. Can you pursue it?" And I reached out to the developer and talked to them on Twitter, and they actually obliged and hooked you up with a review copy.
Yes.
You said you played the demo beforehand and said it was incredibly well written, correct?
Yeah, I got the demo through one of the Steam festivals, I think.
Uh-huh.
And the demo is basically the first 2 chapters of the game. And it made quite an impression on me. It is not entirely a visual novel, but there's a lot of reading. It is more like a choose-your-own-adventure type of game with some role-playing elements in it. And as you said, it is really, really well written. And you are Sir Brante, or I for some reason I keep calling him Brante.
There's an E on the end of Brante.
But you play him from birth till final death.
Interesting. So you actually have things to choose when you're a toddler?
Yeah. You make decisions, you make choices, and those choices affect your development and affect the story. And I found that those choices really have an impact. And the cool thing is with the RPG element of this game is that you have stats, and those stats increase by the choices you make.
I'm curious how those stats affect if it's mostly a choose your own adventure. Because when you say choose your own adventure, I think those books I read when I was in 5th and 6th grade, where you read to a page and then you have a choice of one of two options.
Yes.
So is it working like a Fallout game where I can increase my stats for my speech, and that will give me more speech options, or how does that work?
Your stats are set. You have 3 stats every. You start with 3 stats, and willpower is one of the stats, and willpower is a different kind of different. It escapes me at the moment what exactly the 2 stats are. What you start with. But the first 2 chapters you play with those, and it basically says if you make this decision, then you get a +1, then that stat gets +1. If you make this decision, then that stat gets +1. So you end up, I think it's perception and determination what you start with, and so you can make all the choices that give you, like, at the end of a chapter, you end with 6 determination and 1 perception. And then chapter 2 starts and you make more choices. And at the end of chapter 2, you, and all the chapters are parts of your life, except that the last one is a bit different. And then at the end of chapter 2, when you go to chapter 3, which is your youth, you get new stats, but those new stats are determined on the old stats. So stat 1 is perception plus determination. Step 2 is so every chapter you get new stats, and they build. Every new chapter builds upon those previous stats. And how that looks in the choices that you make is that it can unlock certain choices for you. So you could have 6 choices, but 3 of those choices are locked because your stats are not high enough for it to, or you picked a different path. Like eventually you get to choose, like, the path of the nobleman, the path of the priest, the path of the lawless, and all those are different, lead to different stories and different endings, and it's quite a big story. The world building is done exquisitely in this game. There's a lot of reading. I really do not mind that because it is so cool. For instance, you can die 3 times and be reborn, but if you die a 4th time, it is final death.
Oh, okay. So you have 3 lives, basically.
Basically, but you want to use them wisely. Like in my first playthrough, I started my youth with just 1 regular life left, so I could die 1 more time, and I never made it to the end. I eventually died halfway during chapter 4.
So does the story conclude, though? Even though you die, it's not like a game over. It's like the story's done.
The story, that's where your story ends. That's where the suffering of Sir Brante ends. You go to the afterlife, and you also get to see what if you go to heaven or hell, or and what happens to the people you leave behind. And the more chapters you get, the more people you meet, and also those relations are very important, because your choices can also impact the relations you have with your family, with your friends, with your enemies, and those affect again the choices that you can make later on. And the choices that you make at the beginning that impact your stats can have an effect at the very end that will prevent you from getting a good ending, for instance.
Okay.
Because
so it sounds like there's going to be a lot of replay then, because you want to go back and play things a little bit differently.
Yes. I've done 2 full playthroughs, and the last playthrough, because the last chapter 5 is the revolt, and that takes place over 1 day and night instead of a period of years. And the last playthrough, the second playthrough I did the path of the priest, and in the end choose to you have all kinds of settings, and you can choose to see what kind of endings you can get. My first playthrough, I played it just completely straight through. I didn't go back or anything. I did it like the Iron Man. My choices were permanent. I didn't replay anything. I just went through till the end, and for me that ended halfway chapter 4. Now my second playthrough, I did the same thing until I came to the end. And I got about the worst ending I could get, and then I went. The game went into his basically in the end part where you go before the gods and they ask you questions. You have to answer those questions, and then I got the chance to replay part of my life. And because I got that terrible ending, I chose to replay the final chapter.
And
then I got that terrible ending again.
Oh no! So you had to do something different earlier in life, huh?
No. I made some different choices, but those choices prevented me from getting the good ending. So again, I decided to. So I eventually ended up replaying the final chapter of my second playthrough 5 times before I got 4 different endings. So before I finally managed to get the end, every time was I need to do. Because you have to be perfect to get that best ending, where with the least bloodshed, and you survive, and your friends survive, and your family survives, and everything. So there was only one road towards that, and you can't go back during the chapter. I could only go back at the end. I could have also chosen to go back to chapter 3 and start replaying from there, but I didn't. I didn't choose that. And then once I got that good ending for the Path of the Priest, I got that good ending. Then I decided, okay, now I can rest and I can finish this playthrough.
Sounds like it goes without saying that you recommend this one to our listeners.
Oh, definitely. If you're into great storytelling, you do have to read a lot. If that's not your thing, then this is not a game for you. Mm-hmm. But if you're into great storytelling, into exciting, because that last chapter is all about the revolution. I'm not spoiling anything with this because you can see that every time you move on the chapter, you see the chapter names, and the last chapter is Revolution of Revolt. So, and it was actually thrilling to play, even though there's nothing happening. Like there's no literal action. Just it's all dialogue. It's all choices. And I was like, oh man, can I get my family out of here alive? Can I do this? Can I overthrow the tyrant? It was really, really cool to play. And that's also why I probably replayed that last bit for 5 times. So yeah, I put a lot of hours in, and I'm probably going to put in several more hours to. But the good thing is, there are some similarities between the playthroughs. So especially in the first 2 chapters. If you've already played it once, there are things that you can kind of skip till the next actual choice you have to make because you already played that bit. But there are a lot of options to make different choices and develop your character completely differently. So that's really cool.
Sounds good. Well, again, the game is called The Life and Suffering of Sir Brante. Thomas, thanks again so much for checking that one out for us. We really do appreciate it.
You're most welcome, and keep games like this coming, please.
I'll do my best, man. You have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much to Kevin and Thomas for your time reviewing those games. Let's go ahead and move on. Just want to say hello. We have one new Facebook member that joined this week over at facebook.com/groups/thegocast. So hello to Edwin Smith. Welcome to the community. Also over on Discord, we don't have any new members there, but we are always looking for new people to join the fray. The link for the Discord is in the show notes, so be sure to check that out. Also, if you get a chance, hit us up on Apple Podcasts, drop us a review. Those reviews do help us get noticed and get the word out there a little bit. We do appreciate it. And lastly, our website is thegamingoutsider.com. You can find all our episodes there, as well as all of our written content, including a review from CB for a game he played called Speed Limit. He talked about that one a few weeks ago. Kevin has a written review for the demo, which cracks me up. He said he wanted to write a review for a demo, which I told him, I said, yeah, dude, that's fine. You know, all we need is like 200-300 words. He wound up writing a full review. He liked this game so much. So he's definitely going to review that game when the full game comes out.
Which game was that again?
Sannabi the Revenant.
Okay.
Which is from the same people that did Skull the Hero Slayer. Well, it's the same publisher.
They got a believer out of Kevin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he is. He definitely liked that game. And then my written review for Space Otter Charlie is up there as well, so be sure to check that out. Let's go ahead now and jump into our From the Outside In topic. Now, we have talked about console wars in the past, but seeing how there's been a lot of resurgence lately with the news of Microsoft acquiring Bethesda, which we can talk about a little bit here as well, I thought it was worth revisiting. So, if you're under the impression that pettiness doesn't exist, I challenge you just to look at any tweet about any console-related news story. I can almost guarantee that the first couple of comments will be a negative comment about that particular console on either side, or any side, or how another console is better than the one being discussed. So I decided I wanted to ask the community what they thought, in the hopes that somebody would admit to being a fanboy and explain it. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, our community is too awesome, and we only had responses of people who thought it's as ridiculous as we think it is. We had a couple, and we'll get to those, and we'll get to everybody's comments here in just a minute. But I wanted to talk to the two of you first. And see how you feel about this. I had to assume that you both think similar to me in that we have our preferences, but we don't really berate hardware that isn't our favorite. Am I correct in assuming that?
Yeah.
You're correct.
I think historically I've berated PlayStation more than I have Xbox, actually.
Which is funny because you like PlayStation better.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
So why do you think that some people have turned so hostile when it comes to their favorite brands? And why is it most toxic when it comes to video game consoles? As opposed to, I don't know, cars or, I don't know, washing machines? Like, why is it video
That'd
game
be
console?
awesome. I'm a Kenmore guy.
I know, right?
To the grave.
I don't understand why video game consoles, people they get so possessive about their brand. Alyssa, you're our guest. Let's start with you. What do you think?
It just seems like everyone likes to fight nowadays about something.
Yeah.
I don't really I never understood the console war thing because I've played pretty much every console that's come out over the past few generations. Love them all. I really don't get it. They all have their benefits. They all have their cons. They're just fun to play. Whatever you want to play on, just play it and enjoy it. Don't worry what people think.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I always wonder if it has something to do with what you grew up with, or maybe if it's a jealousy thing, like things that you didn't have when you were a kid. Because I was opposite. Going back to when I was a kid, I was a Nintendo kid. I never had any Sega consoles. I didn't get the Master System. I didn't get the Genesis. But I was never like angry that I didn't have another particular console or hate other people that had it. I always felt jealous, and I was like, man, I really wish I had that console too, because I want to be able to play everything. So I remember when my buddy let me borrow his Sega Genesis, I was in heaven, because I had a whole slew. It wasn't like consoles are nowadays, where you have a lot of cross-platform games that are on both platforms. When I was a kid, Donkey Kong Country was on Super Nintendo, and Sonic Spinball were on Genesis.
Right, or even the cross-platform games like Aladdin, right, were different.
Right, or Mortal Kombat. Even.
Yeah, well, there's one version that was useless. And the other one had blood.
Yeah. So, yeah, nowadays I feel like the line is much blurry between consoles. I mean, sure, one of them's gonna be better, but the delta is so small and insignificant, it just doesn't seem worth fighting over. I don't get it. It made more sense back in the 90s when you legitimately had two different consoles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just doesn't.
I do remember when the Game Boy Advance came out. I was super jealous of everyone that had one, and I managed to contract pneumonia and guilt trip my parents into getting me one as a get well present. But that was pretty much the only thing the kids my age even argued about was, do you have one? Are you playing the new Pokemon game? Did you get red or blue? So, I mean, that's really the only thing that I've ever, like, encountered personally between people I know in real life arguing about is whether you got the Game Boy Advance and you're playing Pokemon Red or Blue.
So, see, I'm not a Pokemon person, so I don't really even know what that means. Were there people possessive about which Pokemon it was?
Yeah.
That was a big deal?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I thought the games were the same thing. They just had one extra character or something.
Well, you were able to trade between two different people, so if someone had red and another person had blue, they could trade the Pokemon that were exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, if your friend had the same one as you, you couldn't do that. So it's like, you gotta get blue. I've got red.
So wouldn't you want the other person to have the opposite color of you? Which means that would be a good thing. You would encourage... I don't get it. Like, why would you get angry unless you got the same color?
We were in 2nd grade. I don't know why we were arguing about it.
Yeah, you were in second grade when the Game Boy Advance came out?
Yep.
Oh my god.
Wow. I think... Am I old?
Wow. Now you know what it feels like, Zach.
If you want to feel older, my first console was PS1.
Oh my god.
Wow.
How old were you when the PS1 came out?
I don't actually know when it came out, but I know my uncle had one when I was 4 years old.
Oh my god.
So I got one around the same time. So I was 4 or 5 when I got a PS1.
We might be around the same age. That's fine.
Yeah. I am not about the same age.
No. Anyway, I also remember the Pokemon thing. It was weird. In my school, yeah, you were a loser if you had blue. It was all about Pokemon Red.
Why?
I had red.
Yeah, well, red was a cool one. It had Charizard right on the cover.
Yeah, you got Charizard. But I always picked a Squirtle as my starter, so I don't know why.
You should have been blue. Yeah, what are you doing? You were hiding. You're a poser. Pretending to be a cool kid. Yeah, I don't know why. I remember a kid painted his cartridge red. Just the part that stuck out on the Game Boy. I remember he painted it red.
I had the grape color.
Game Boy?
I forget what it was actually called, like the color name.
The Atomic Purple?
Yes.
Yeah, that was the best Game Boy.
I had it.
No
wait a minute. He painted just that part of the cartridge?
Right, the
red?
part of the cartridge that sticks out, he painted it red, because in my kid, you were a loser if you had Pokemon Blue.
That is insane to me.
I had Pokemon Red. I wasn't going to be a loser.
So it's just kids being dumb.
Yeah,
right?
This whole console war problem is a teenager problem.
It sure seems like it.
When you're an adult, it just seems louder, right? Because of the internet. But when you're an adult, you don't care.
I mean,
some do.
I don't know
maybe.
if you saw it today, but there's some nationwide outage thing going on right now as of today. Like Xbox Live has been having problems, and I'm not just saying this because I like Xbox and I we've talked about this in the past. But I clicked on the headline, and as soon as it was, someone's like, "Well, am I paying $100 for a service that's constantly down?" Like, it's not an Xbox thing, man. It's like there's something going on, and like, I'm just gonna stick with PlayStation. I'm glad I didn't switch. Like,
PlayStation goes down too, though.
I know.
Right. In fact, when they do it, all your security's at risk, and then they don't tell you about it for 3 weeks.
Yeah, nobody talks about when like PlayStation like sold my credit card information to people.
Yeah.
Well,
and they're just like, oopsies.
As I constantly talk about on this show, gamers have no memory span at all.
Yeah, here's a free copy of Little Big Planet, which I never
that'll
played.
make up for it.
Or what was the other one they gave away? They gave away Infamous, which
Yeah.
I already had. So like, here you go. Anyway, it just seriously cracks me up. Like. What are you proving by sitting there talking about how great your brand is?
Well, that's the thing. Ultimately, they don't care. Sony and Microsoft don't care about you.
You mean about the person that's like...
The person who's going to bat for PlayStation in every comment section or every... Xbox is down, and the guy who's like, yeah, that's why PlayStation's the best. PlayStation doesn't care about you, man.
That's a really good point, Zach. I've never really thought about it that way, but you're absolutely right.
All they care about is your money.
Exactly.
And you playing their system.
Yeah.
And you're just giving them all the power.
That's a really good point. You're just feeding the flames.
Yeah, you guys should be holding both. You should hold every company accountable when they mess up. Right? You're a paying customer.
Right. Not just the one that's opposite of the one that you own.
Yeah. A high tide raises all boats in this scenario.
And I'll be honest, man, part of me feels guilty for not caring about the console wars because I'm 40 years old, I make a decent living, and I can afford both consoles, or in this case, all 3 consoles. I have PlayStation, I have Xbox, I have Switch. I have a Mac. I don't have a PC. But, I can afford to do that, so it doesn't matter to me. Is that... and I think we have someone that has a comment similar to this, but is it that people some people can't afford to do both, or they grew up only being able to have one console, which is perfectly understandable, right? Not everybody can afford to have. These are luxury items, right? This is not, I need this to live, eat, breathe, sleep. This is a luxury item. This is something for fun. So, having all of them is, we're in a weird class that we can do that.
And I think it all comes down to teenagers that can't afford both.
Right.
And I think that's where all the noise comes from, is because you want to feel better about yourself, because if you see Halo Infinite and you actually do think it looks cool, you want to tell yourself it looks awful because you don't want it because you can't have it.
Like, you don't want to have that melancholy feeling, so instead you get feelings
right. So
of
why
anger.
not? So instead of having to confront your own sadness, why not? You could just be angry, try to ruin
make other people sad.
Yeah, make other people feel dumb, because then you'll feel more justified in like, well, it was a good thing I got PlayStation because that Halo game looks dumb anyway. But even if you know deep down you would love it.
We should talk also the reason that this story came up at all, which we didn't talk about in the news. I probably should have mentioned it, but the whole Bethesda Microsoft deal finally came together this past week. So Bethesda is now officially under Microsoft, which is pretty cool. But like I said, all it took is all of a sudden everybody hates Bethesda now. Everybody says, well, Bethesda's games suck anyway. Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm sure. See what I'm saying, though?
Explain your 400 hours in Skyrim.
Right?
Yeah. Because they can't play Elder Scrolls now. Elder Scrolls sucks.
And we still don't know that. That's part of the thing, is that whole news story is that some things will be exclusive, they said.
Yeah, I would bet big money Indiana Jones is an exclusive.
Probably. I will bet that Elder Scrolls 6 is not exclusive.
No.
That's funny, because I would think that it would be.
You think so?
I don't know. Because
I don't think Fallout does, because I feel like Fallout, every Xbox gamer I know loves Fallout, but not every PlayStation gamer I know loves Fallout.
I could see Fallout being more Xbox exclusive before Skyrim would.
Yeah, I think that. I don't know about Starfield. Would make sense to go exclusive because no one can care about it yet. You're right. Elder Scrolls is more likely, I guess, to be multi-platform. Now I think about it, because there is a multi-platform legacy there.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if I were Phil Spencer, I would not. Unless I do the thing where I put it on PlayStation, but inside of every ad is like $70 on PlayStation or included on Game Pass.
Oh,
that's what I would
could
do.
see them doing with, Elder Scrolls 6, having it exclusive to Xbox for a certain amount of time. But I don't think they'll just block it off exclusively to Xbox forever, though, because, Skyrim's been around since PS3 and 360 and been on every single console since.
And to be clear, I don't want them to be exclusive to Xbox.
No.
I'm not cheering for it. I want it to be available to everybody.
I always feel weird in these conversations because I do like exclusives because they give you a reason to have a console.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I know I feel like I'm shooting myself in the foot here, but I want Indiana Jones to be an exclusive because I want a reason to use my Xbox. And I understand that not everyone has both consoles, but that's business, right? You need... Mm-hmm. I want Microsoft to have things. And if Sony's going to safeguard a huge character like Spider-Man, it would stand to reason that Xbox should get something too. And those gamers should get something.
And that's coming from a guy that prefers Sony game consoles to Microsoft game consoles.
Yeah.
That's saying something to me that I don't know. It's
everybody should get something.
Yeah.
And I don't have a Series X or PS5 yet, but I know. I want, I do want them both, but I want them to both have a reason for being there.
Zach, though, honestly, I still think you're in the smarter position than that because I have a Series X. I don't know why.
I don't want to.
I really don't know why.
I don't know anybody with a next-gen console that seems happy with their purchase.
But you still can't find one.
Unless maybe Alyssa. I don't know. Maybe Alyssa.
I've got both. I don't know how I got lucky. I really just played the enhanced games on the Series X right now, but there's nothing exclusive really that has jumped out at me.
Yeah. And even the
PS5, had Miles Morales, which is also on PS4, but
right.
You have Miles Morales, Demon's Souls,
which is a PS3 game.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
But I guess they feel
Xbox,
new.
Xbox the medium is exclusive to Xbox right now.
Mm-hmm. I still haven't played
So
that.
that's one.
Xbox has enough teams where if they had their producers keep their teams in check, you could have a major Xbox exclusive every quarter from here until eternity ends.
Yeah.
They have enough developers now. But yeah, Bethesda, I don't think Phil Spencer said anything totally damning either. But I think he said that things with Legacy will continue to be supported, so your Elder Scrolls Online I don't think is going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what was key was he wanted to make sure that these were products that were like exclusive to where you can play Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
Because then, as a consumer, if you want to play Elder Scrolls, but it's only on Game Pass, you should be getting on Sony that they should have Game Pass on their console.
Well, let me ask you this, Zach. Now that Outriders is coming to Xbox, are you going to play that on PlayStation or are you going to play that on Xbox? I
am absolutely going to play Outriders on Xbox One now.
Because of Game Pass, right?
Right, and I want to play Outriders, of course. I guess there's still a shot that maybe we'll get a code from the publisher. But, my progress is there from the demo, but I'm okay with restarting to go to Xbox, where it's on Game Pass, where I know you'll be playing.
Mm-hmm.
Where I know Aaron
I'll be playing.
Where Alyssa will be playing, where Aaron from the Hollywood Outsider will be playing, where everybody I know will probably be playing because of Game Pass.
Right. Exactly. And like I talk about how Sony fanboys are razzing against the Xbox. It happens both ways. You have, sometimes it's hard to draw the line when I look at Twitter a lot. I lurk on Twitter quite a bit. Zach, you actually like tweet. I just read.
Mostly about comics, so you don't understand what the hell I'm ever saying.
I know. I read some of your stuff, and I'm like, oh, Green Lantern. Yeah, I don't know anything that's going on there. I'm going to go on here. What's OA? I have no idea what OA is.
What? That's the headquarters of the Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah,
the center of the universe.
No
Sector
idea,
Zero.
man.
What are you doing?
I have no idea. It was like a big thing. He said, it's been a fun run. I'm like, I have no idea what that means. Yeah, I don't engage as much on Twitter because I don't know how. I really don't know how to tweet. I'm terrible.
I don't either. I'm terrible.
I'm better on Facebook.
I'm a lurker, just like Scott is. I'm just like, why do I write on Twitter?
I'm not clever enough to write anything on Twitter. Anything I retweet, because someone else is way more clever than I do. Anyway, the whole point of this whole thing is Xbox people are just as bad. But I don't know where to draw the line between them defending another fanboy and actually being as bad at the console wars as they are. Like, well, you got all these free games. What are you talking about? It's better. What is Sony doing? Well, they're right, but they've also got the exclusives right now. Not right now. They had the exclusives in the PS4 era. I don't know. I'm just tired. I think Alyssa really hit the nail on the head when she said people just are looking for anything to argue and be angry about right now.
I think you need look no further than the reaction to either the WandaVision finale about people just looking to be angry.
Well, people are mad because their guesses didn't come true.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Or you just need to look at Star Wars Twitter, where Star Wars fans are always fighting with Star Wars fans about Star Wars because they all hate Star Wars, but they all love Star Wars. Yeah, it's very weird.
It's like you're still watching everything, but you're complaining.
I hate everything Disney's done. Of course, I have Disney Plus, but that doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Very strange.
Yeah, people in their boycotts that never pan out. I remember there was a Call of Duty boycott years ago. Signed this petition, and they all bought it on day one.
Yep. No, there was a screenshot of the lobby, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're all playing together on day one.
Yep. Anyway, so it's clear we're all pretty much sick of the console wars. But I wanted to talk about what our community thought, and we got a few comments here. Zach, why don't you start off with some comments?
Sure. Yeah. It's nice that people have preferences, but you don't have to be mean about it.
Yeah. There's no such thing as a bad console.
General, don't be mean.
Yeah, just don't be mean.
Just be excellent to one another.
Bill and Ted, yes.
But Drew Ross says, for some strange reason, console wars are still alive today. For some, even though this is the greatest time to be a gamer, no matter which console you prefer. I prefer Xbox for its Xbox Live service, with many friends online going back over a decade, and now it's Game Pass service. I purchased a Nintendo Switch last year for my family, and I too share, and the only reason we don't own a newer PlayStation is we barely got time to play what we have. The fanboy mentality needs to go.
That's exactly why I haven't picked up a PS5 yet. I can't keep up with the games that I have on Switch and Xbox. Why do I need the PS5 right now? And I'm not knocking PS5. I have a preference. So I have an Xbox Series X.
Right.
Some point down the road, I'm going to get a PS5. But number one, it's really difficult to find one. And number two, I don't need it. I don't need a third console.
Yeah, it's about to get much harder to find a PS5 with stimulus checks rolling out too.
Oh yeah.
That's a really good point. I
All these
saw
people who
a
desperately
bundle.
needed this money, but then get a PS5 though.
Right. Yeah. Funny how that works, isn't it?
Yeah, funny.
Ah,
But Drew's right. There's no better time to be a gamer. There's such an insane amount of games, right? Like even tiny little games like Space Otter Charlie are great.
mhm.
You know, most video games that get released today are at least good. You know, I feel like the worst a game gets anymore is okay. Even Avengers, which I rail on all the time, was okay. It's a great time to be a gamer, and you can't keep up. There's no reason to come at each other. You have stuff to play. Enjoy what you have.
That's very well said. Think about it. Like a
very true.
mediocre cell phone game is leaps and bounds beyond what we had when we were kids.
Yeah, we just don't get games that are 1s to 4s really anymore. You know how like they're so rare.
I can't think of a game that I rated.
I can think of Elix, but otherwise,
That was 3 years ago.
yeah, I guess it was. Yeah, I guess it was many years ago.
I don't think we've rated a game lower than a 4.
Nobody wants to make a bad game.
Right.
Turns out.
But I mean,
Yeah, I think the only game I gave a 4 came out 2 years ago.
and it's not like
I
we're
know.
not critical, to be clear. We are
Right.
critical of the games we play. It's just that everything is at least okay. You know?
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, Drew's right. There's no better time. There's been no better time to be a gamer than now.
There's
At all.
so much to play, and the problem we have now is that there's no time. I mean, that's
Yes.
part of getting older.
It has gotten to the point where I see something I really want to play, like Fire Emblem Three Houses looks incredible, but then you see that it's 60, 70 hours, and I'm like, I
Mhm.
can play.
It is incredible, but it is very long.
It-
And you know what's
it-
even crazier to me is that the people that have the time right now are the ones that are playing the same game all the time. And I'm not knocking Fortnite people.
Okay, you're talking about the live service people.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know that's all they play. They've got all the time in the world to experience all these games, and they're just playing a handful of games. Which
That's crazy to me as well, because even outside of games, you also have like so many TV shows are great.
Yeah.
Now, you got
Mhm.
movies coming out left and right. God forbid you want to read a book once in a while.
Mhm.
I know.
There's a lot
That's
of good
my
content.
struggle.
Yeah.
By the way, under 5 hours in Game of Thrones left. By the way,
Ooh.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for you.
I'm
Glad you're
excited.
digging
I
it.
already bought the second one. I'm going to keep going.
Okay. You're gonna be really disappointed here soon then.
I heard that book 2 diverges quite a bit.
Well, I just meant because you're gonna run out of book. Because
I'm
he's
gonna
not
run out of
done.
book.
He's
Oh
not done.
well, yeah. What like? I think I'll be okay. There's like 8 of them, isn't there?
Yeah, it's going to take a while.
Yeah, and those they get progressively longer. I feel.
But anyway, moving on though. Kevin Honigford says, I don't really hear any of the console wars anymore. Maybe I'm just not listening. What does make me grind my teeth a bit is the PC players that are condescending pricks and the stigma that puts on the rest of us.
I don't know how to respond to that.
Those are some strong words. there.
Right. The PC Master Race is a joke that dates back many years.
Mm-hmm.
But I will see PC players do seem to like to come into console conversations and do like, well, it's not a problem on PC. And I'm like, well, great, you're not useful here. Why are you stopping by?
Right.
Just to try to rub it in like, man, it sucks that Xbox Live is down. It's never been a problem on PC. I know that, man. Thank you.
Right.
Keep on keeping on, buddy. Like, it's weird. He's not, Kevin's that wrong.
What's funny is Kevin is a PC player. Like he primarily
he would
plays
know.
a PC, and he's sitting here, yelling at people on the PC Master Race. So it's interesting that people like him and people like you that have their preference still recognize the problem with its fan base.
Well, I think being a diehard fan of something is holding them to a higher accountability. Right? You shouldn't think they're infallible. You should want them to be the best version of themselves, right? And you're only going to do that by holding their feet to the fire.
Well, not only that, but you want the competition to succeed as well. Because when the competition is fierce, the consumers win.
Yeah.
You know,
So, I mean, yeah, if the competitor is doing as well as your favorite thing is, and your favorite thing has to get better, or else it's not going to go well.
exactly.
You're right. Like, yeah, you're absolutely
so
correct.
why would you wish ill on the competition as a consumer? I could see the competition wishing ill on the other competition. But as a consumer, you want both sides to do really well because that means both are going to get better, and that means your product and your brand your brand is going to get better.
Yeah, I mean, speaking as a longtime DC fanboy, I'm happy Marvel sells better because that means DC has less chances to mess up, which means the comics tend to be of a higher quality. You can't risk putting out
step up your game.
You can't risk putting out a crappy Green Lantern comic if Marvel's outselling you every month. Because you can't afford to lose anybody else. I think
Very good.
That works for me, the consumer.
Exactly. Like being involved in console wars just doesn't make sense from a consumer standpoint.
Not at all.
Not
at all. But moving on to Tori Melching. I prefer PlayStation. No, I don't trash the others. Why would I? Just because I can't afford others or think there aren't many games that would appeal to me on the other consoles doesn't mean I will be a jerk about it. So much breath wasted on arguing with the stupidest stuff.
Yes, that was edited for content, Tori. Just to
were there curse words?
Yes, I had to.
Okay.
I had to, because I knew you would read them, Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, well, I just did for Kevin.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, is that really a true curse word, though?
Hey, if you can say it on CNN, right?
Is that the rule? But yeah, I mean, Tori's absolutely right. There's just no reason to argue about this stuff, right? I mean, we've been saying it ad nauseum.
I agree.
I mean, she's right. PlayStation is definitely the preference, of course. See, that's fun. Like poking at it, feel like, of course, PlayStation is the preference. It's the best one. That's fun. That doesn't hurt anybody.
I mean, and here's the interesting thing, and we've talked about this before. I feel like the superior console has flip-flopped from generation to generation. During the PS4, Xbox One era, clearly the PS4 was the superior console in terms of exclusives alone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel comfortable getting involved in a hardware debate because I just don't understand hardware. They look the same to me. You know what I mean? My untrained, non-able to differentiate 60 versus 30 frames per second eyes, they look the same to me. But PS4 had the exclusives better. 360 versus PS3, to me, I feel like Xbox won that generation. You know what I mean? It's never been like, it's not like Xbox has always been the best, or PlayStation has always been the best, or Nintendo has always been the best.
There was a time where Sega was the best.
Right. It's you're not going to just have always picked the best console, and even if you don't, who cares? Just because you don't have the best doesn't mean you're not gonna have some good experiences on the inferior console.
And eventually, the stuff will be cheap enough where you can catch up.
Right.
I know
games will always exist.
I know we live in a cult of the now, but it's okay. You can go up to things later.
Mm-hmm. FOMO.
Yes. It's getting worse every year, I feel like.
All right, let's move on. Alyssa, you got some comments you wanted to share with us?
I have a couple. The first is from our producer, Nate Lucas, and he says, I play everything. If I enjoy a game, it doesn't matter what platform it's on. Gaming for me encompasses the hardware as a whole. Which, I'm the same way. If, a game's multi-platform, whichever, PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox, doesn't matter. As long as the game's good, I don't mind what I'm playing it on.
Right.
I mean, Nintendo has proven this countless times. They have the weakest console. They don't have internet features that would be... Their modern internet feature was modern, 10 years ago. Right? That's how far behind they are. And yet, here they are. On top of the game right now.
Mm-hmm. And, I mean, you just got done talking about Mario 3D World, Bowser's Fury. It very, stylized, very vibrant, crisp, but not, doesn't look real. You know what I mean? And you had fun with it. You had a blast with it.
Absolutely. And I played it mostly handheld mode.
Right. So it didn't even look as good. Well, you've been very loud about how much you don't care how games look.
No, but screen resolution I think makes more of a difference than graphical fidelity in a game does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the handheld mode is just fine.
Yeah. The whole console war thing frustrates me because I feel like we struggle as gamers enough trying to convince people that gaming is awesome. When we fight amongst ourselves, it's very frustrating to me.
Man, yeah. As an avid comic reader, that I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
Because monthly comic book sales are the lowest they've been since almost the introduction of comics. And yet we're still fighting Marvel vs. DC. I'm like, guys, buy both. It's getting rough out there.
Right.
What are you doing?
So are you telling me that there's a large subset of people that like refuse to buy Marvel comics or refuse to buy DC comics?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
And I don't buy as many Marvel, but I pick up Marvel books every week. If it's good, it's good.
And what's interesting to me is that for a comic book, you don't have to have any hardware associated with it. You just have to buy the comic, right? That would be like me refusing to play Spider-Man, even though I have the ability to play it. I'm not going to play it just because it was made by Sony. That does not make any sense to me.
Yeah, but I'm glad Alyssa backs me up on this.
They
These
do
people
exist.
And it's much more bewildering there because, a best-selling comic sells 50,000. It's nothing. Why are we fighting amongst each other?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's crazy, Scott. It's crazy.
It's all crazy. I still like your whole Maytag washer. I'm a Maytag man, or Kenmore. I wish people argued about appliances like we do. I mean, the closest I could think of outside of consoles was phones.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like the Apple versus Android thing is I can't tell you how much people give me crap for having an Apple device, and I don't even come at anybody. I just prefer Apple. I'm comfortable with its ecosystem, and I like that it talks to my laptop, and that talks to my tablet, and that talks to my headphones, and it's all. I'm just in the family.
Get it? It's too late to change now.
I've been with iPhone since the 4, so I don't want to switch.
Yeah, they are expensive. I will say that.
It's funny. I did go from Android to iPhone, so people do switch. Just throwing it out there. You know what, though? I do remember my mom dated this construction gentleman for many years, and he would only buy Black & Decker tools.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think it does go beyond tech. I just don't think.
Yeah, but is he making fun of his buddies?
I don't. I guess I didn't. I guess
is
I don't
he on an online forum talking about how Black & Decker are the superior?
Those forums have to. There's a subreddit for this. There's gotta be. You felt
somebody is Googling
I just saw a guy
this
with
as
a
they're listening.
DeWalt hammer. Can you believe it? What a loser! Everyone knows DeWalt makes uneven hammers. They're completely useless.
I'm just glad that you could think of another brand of power tool because I was sitting there strapping my brain trying to think of another power tool brand.
Yeah, the joke works better if we can think of a different brand.
Yeah, it does.
It's gotta exist. The only time I'll back it up, hey, you can have brand loyalty is food, because I don't want to eat food I don't like. I'm not gonna eat a Burger King
or Subway. I've learned
it's because we're in Los Angeles, Scott.
We went to Taco Bell, man.
Well, that's Taco Bell. Come on. That's the best food in the world.
See, my thing is, I just want to not be hungry. I don't really care. I'm not a foodie.
Okay.
But anyway, we're getting off track. Alyssa, you got any comments?
Where are we
I've
anymore?
got one more
What
from
happened?
Michael Bonovich. And he says, I never got the whole fanboy thing. Maybe it was because I was lucky enough to be surrounded with choices. I loved playing my brother's Atari, became a Sega kid when my parents got the Master System, and my friends all had Nintendo stuff, so I didn't miss out on the greats there. We'd sometimes...
Alyssa, just so you know, Atari was this old console from the 1980s that had a joystick and a red button. Just want to make sure you knew what that was.
I know what they are.
Oh man, we'll play Outlaw.
Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
He said they would trade systems for a weekend, and then he got more and more into PC games. but he never thought consoles were lesser. And he'd go from playing Counter-Strike on PC and then pick up the monster Xbox controller to play Halo with his friends. So he was just, bouncing back and forth with whatever his friends were playing, what he had. So... Mm-hmm.
That was what we had to do when we were kids. Like when I told you I had my buddy's Sega Genesis, we traded systems. That was a thing we did when we were kids.
It's hard. It's harder now, right? With profiles and purchase histories, and you got your achievements all tied to everything. They've kind of made it. You don't want to share. They've made it so you don't want to share.
That's. I have to imagine that's intentional.
Yes, I would think that is absolutely intentional.
I didn't even think about that. That's why they. I mean, it's pretty easy to lock down your profile. You can just, you can put any profile on there, but that still takes work,
especially with the rise of digital. Though, if you really wanted to lend your friend a Nintendo Switch because they don't have one, they're going to have to be able to play on your account. Which I guess for Nintendo it doesn't matter, but like Xbox, right? Like, oh no, now you got an achievement that you wanted, right? That you hadn't gotten or something like that. Now mess up your profile, or you got an odd number achievement, and God forbid, now you got to cut them out of your life.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, mine's odd again. Did I tell you that?
Yes, yes.
From Cyber Shadow. Got me.
To have heard.
I love that game, though.
Yeah.
All right, I got a comment as well. We actually had a listener that kind of, sort of admitted to being a fanboy, but I know this guy personally, and he's not a jerk. He doesn't take it to that level, but he kind of gave it...
The meanest thing he's ever done is take us to lackluster Korean barbecue.
Yes, we're never. The poor guy feels terrible. He doesn't know Korean barbecue, and like we mention it all the time. It's not his fault. He didn't know. It was. Oh man, I feel bad.
At some point, we got to let it go. It has been a few years now, but
it's been 2 years. But it's still just funny. A funny story. Anyway, Mr. Sean Coates, who was gracious enough to pick us up from the airport when we went to LA.
Sean is great.
He's an awesome guy. He says, I think being a console loyalist just depended on whichever console our parents bought us. Not a lot of parents, especially in the 80s and 90s, were keen on the idea of buying more than one expensive piece of hardware for what many grown-ups considered a mind-numbing activity. Plus, side note here, a lot of parents didn't understand that there were different games on different consoles. They just kind of thought, you buy a console, then any game works on it. That's how my parents understood it.
God bless my mother. She did understand that.
Okay. You're lucky. My dad still to this day pronounces it Nintendo.
My uncle does too. Yeah.
Nintendo.
Really?
There's clearly an N in front of that word. It's not Nintendo. Anyway.
Yeah, my mother didn't knock a lot of things out of the park, but she did listen to me when I talked about what played where.
Nice. Yeah.
That's something.
My mom just forbade me from playing games because she thought there were subliminal messages in them that were going to make me kill myself. Anyway.
The shame of it was she was right.
Yeah. Sean goes on to say, therefore, you were loyal to whatever you were given because it most likely was all you had. That said, I was a Nintendo kid all through the 90s, and my first non-Nintendo machine was a PS1 in 99 or so, and I got a Dreamcast shortly after that. Before I got my own PS1, I was a staunch defender of the N64. I remember being in the minority of kids with an N64 versus PS1 owners, and the sales numbers can back me up on that memory. Even when I had a PS2, I was still kind of poo-pooing Xbox owners, especially since it was the new kid on the block. So there you have it. It's the closest we got to a console war fanboy comment from our community, and it wasn't even really that bad. So thanks, Sean, for that comment. Also, Matt Sattler wrote in and said, I think console wars are kind of pointless anymore. People buy just about everything eventually. Every console company is doing something different from a marketing strategy, so really, they're not playing the same games anymore. Plus, the push for cross-platform is really snuffing out the argument. My only issue is the people who like to pretend one is better than the next for stupid reasons that are easily disproved or moot. I thought that was pretty well said. That goes back to my argument about, I don't know which one's better and I don't really care.
I do, to Sean Coates' comment, I do feel for him. I was also an N64 kid.
Yeah.
And you had to defend it.
Well, PS1 was cooler. Let's be honest.
It was cooler. Yeah, you were seen as like almost kiddie for having the N64 still. You're like, oh, you're still playing Nintendo, huh? You're like, yeah, dude, Zelda. Man, I was forcibly changed to a different species at the start of Majora's Mask. That's pretty twisted. Yeah. But I was there. N64 had worse RPGs, that's for damn sure.
I like Matt's point about cross-platform. Everybody wants
it's over now.
There's nobody that doesn't want cross-platform. They want to be able to play with their friends on the console that they hate. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So, I don't know. That's the thing is, seriously, the only reason I have two consoles is because I don't want to be left out of any exclusives.
FOMO.
Hey, seriously. You're absolutely right. That's the only reason I buy an exclusive console or buy the other console. And again, I'm not knocking Sony when I say that. You know what I'm saying? I'm if I could play every game on just one console, I would buy it. I don't care if it's Xbox or PlayStation. I would just buy that one. But because the exclusives exist, I have to play both of them because I don't want to miss out.
And I would say Xbox One, man. Like, I always joke that it's a paperweight or whatever, but I would have been pretty devastated if I didn't get to play Gears 5.
Great game.
Right. It's just a pretty expensive game. If that's all you're going to play on it.
I mean, I bought a Nintendo Switch exclusively to play Breath of the Wild.
Right. But look how much you're playing on it now.
Right. Did take a few years.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, even when Breath of the Wild was out, I did tell people that game alone was worth $360.
Boy, that's a bold statement. You still hold to it?
Not after that ending.
I've had an itch to go back to it a little bit.
I'm just gonna wait for the sequel, and then I can pretend that the ending doesn't matter because they followed up on it.
Well, thank you to everybody for all the comments. Sorry we could not get to every single one of them, but we will do our best to get to more next week. Stay tuned to our social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Discord, for comments next week and for our topic for next week. We still have not decided what that's going to be, but be sure to hit us up. We'd love to hear your comments and potentially read them on next week's episode. But guess what? That's going to do it for this week's episode of The Gaming Outsider. Alyssa, thank you so much for stopping by and chatting with us. It was a genuine pleasure to talk to you again.
I had a blast talking to you guys.
That was so much fun. We need to have you on more often because this has just been...
Whenever you want me, I'll be here.
Yeah, I say we just get rid of CB. No problem. Adios, buddy.
Let's do that. Yeah. Congratulations, Alyssa. You just got promoted.
Right. CB's too good for us. He's out saving lives.
I know. He's got to go, make tourniquets and stuff. I just want to say tourniquet. Alyssa, where can our listeners follow you and any work that you're doing? You can check out my YouTube channel
at youtube.com/AlyssaWhite88. You can follow me on Instagram. I have 2 different accounts. If you want to check out my review account, that's Alleycat Geekery Reviews, ALYCATGEEKERY Reviews. Or my personal account is It's Alyssa White. I'm also on Twitter at Lissery, I believe it is. I'm bad at Twitter. I don't really do much on Twitter, so you might not want to follow me there, but you can.
Yeah, I heard you just...
just lurk. I just lurk. I will stalk you, though. So, I'll follow you back. But,
man. She follows me.
I
don't tweet much, as you see.
But those are my main places you can find me.
You have a better shot of understanding my tweets than Scott.
You can also find Alyssa on our website, thegamingoutsider.com, where she writes fantastic reviews for us, and we really do appreciate her doing that. So yeah, seriously, Alyssa, we gotta do this again sometime in the near future. This has been a lot of fun. Zack, how about you? Any parting words before we get out of here?
Zack Snyder's Justice League, man. It's the only thing that matters right now.
That's all you got, huh?
I've never been more excited for a movie.
Yeah?
I can confidently say this because the last time I was this excited for a movie was Justice League, and then the theatrical cut was fine. So I'm excited that now, 3.5 years later, we get the real movie, and So
do you have a Letterboxd account?
Go check out Alyssa's YouTube.
Yeah.
Letterboxd account.
Do you have one?
What about it? Sorry.
Oh, I'd love to see your review for Zack Snyder's Justice League if you had one.
It would probably be biased. I don't know if I can go with the open mind. But hey, check out Alyssa's YouTube stuff because there's one video where it's like rare gems of PS3 or something. Anyway, she calls out it is old. What she mentions in the air.
No, there it is.
That's when I knew Alyssa was a good person.
That's what it took.
Absolutely.
This is a lot of fun. Everybody out there, thank you so much for listening. Just want to remind you that The Gaming Outsider is produced by Nate Lucas, and all the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Zack Parkerson and Alyssa White, and we are The Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.